Hello everyone, welcome to Talking Reds, and this is our match reaction from yesterday's game against Arsenal. 2-2 draw, as I predicted in the preview. If anyone watched the preview, that is. But yeah, it was a very drama-full game, boys. A drama-full game. We're going to speak about the Trent thing later on. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and get your notification bells on. We are live at 7 o'clock later on to discuss the Trent Alexander situation with you guys at home. So, but this is our match reaction from yesterday. We're going to talk about the match and just the match specifically here, not Trent, because I think we don't want to let the Trent situation overshadow what actually happened in the game in terms of match reaction. I think the Trent situation needs to be addressed separately, completely to the match reaction itself. So, 2-2 draw, boys. I mean, first half came out. I mean, when we actually scored, and after that next 10, 15 minutes, I tweeted out that's that ruthlessness we've seen under Klopp. I haven't seen that ruthlessness of like put them to the sword since Klopp. I've not seen that under Slot this season. It was so nice to see. Like, we want more. Let's go get more. Let's go get more. But once Arsenal got back in control of the game, it felt like we lost a bit of spice. What do you think, Naj?
Yeah, I mean, the first half was great. I actually think it was pretty wasteful, to be honest. I know it sounds wild saying that, but what does Salah have to do to get this bloody record? That's all I'm going to say. There's Diaz obviously did score a great goal, but it was all orchestrated by the Salah originally to Szoboszlai. Good. It was a good team goal actually. To be honest with you, but yeah, I thought. The first half was great. We was obviously talking in the group chat. Gakpo was being a little bit wasteful in terms of him not pulling the trigger when he should have done. But then he got his goal, obviously. So, what can you say? And then, there's a few other chances that we obviously should have buried in that first half. And I think, honestly, I was almost like not disappointed because obviously it was 1-0, but almost like that could have been 4-0 that first half. Genuinely, it was very good. And then that second half just. I don't know what happened in that changing room, but they just come out and they were just like not asked. That's what I felt.
Stu, this is the problem with what I've seen of Liverpool this season. Obviously, we won the league. It doesn't. Yeah. There should have been no problems really. You want to celebrate, but in terms of what I see going forward, again, I think it's that trying to manage games too much, trying to see games out and things like that, and not really going for the like I said when we looked at ruthlessness in that 10-15 minutes. We should have gone for the side. We should have got another 3 or 4. Like Nigel said, we could have won 4-0 easily in that first half.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree.
What do you think? Do you think that's down to tactics, or do you think it's just down to the players making the wrong choices at the time?
I don't know. I mean, the first half, I'm definitely in agreement. First half was definitely ours, without a doubt. We could have rolled into half-time quite easily, 4-5-0 up, and we probably should have. I mean, Diaz, in my mind, should have had a hat-trick yesterday. For the chances that he should have had a hat-trick, without a doubt. But second half-wise, I don't know. It's kind of like they switched off in the second half, and it didn't help Arsenal scoring in the 47th minute, so only 2 minutes in the second half, they get a goal, and it changes the complexion of the game a little bit. But I don't know, it's been very much like that through most of our games this season. Ruthless to a point, and then just dial it back, like you say. Like, is it Slot trying to game manage things a little bit too much? Maybe it could come back down to that argument of our managers and coaches becoming too militant in how they want their football to be played, not allowing enough creative expressionism in games, which is what we used to have under Klopp, but we definitely don't have under Slot. He is very much down the line. This is how we're supposed to play. And he doesn't allow too much creative freedom going on. And I don't know whether he changed that a little bit for the second argument. Right, okay, we're 2-0 up. We'll dial it back and just control the game. The downside to that is, like Arsenal did yesterday, they got a goal very early on, immediately puts the pressure on. And then, lo and behold, they score a second goal, albeit through some defensive errors. And I know the guys won't be too fussed about it because there's only a couple of games left of the season. We've won the title and all that sort of stuff. But just in my own thought process, it would be like, No, I still want to finish every game this season as best as we possibly can and show them why we are champions. Now we've gone into the Chelsea game, we've lost that, and we've drew at Anfield with Arsenal. Not the best way to end the season, in my mind. And I think it should be better. Admittedly, their heads are probably on holiday already. I get that. I do. I get that. But it's at the same time, you still got fans turning up week in, week out, paying out the big money to watch these players play on big money, and they are not performing at the moment. And the same was for yesterday as well. I don't think the performances were up to scratch for that second half anyway.
I don't like the whole as well, like the Ronaldo and things like that. But Arsenal have just lost a semi-final in Champions League against PSG. Their heads must be down there.
Yeah.
Their confidence must be as low as it gets. And that second half, I said pretty much the whole game. I thought they controlled the game. If I'm honest. By that 10, 15 minutes where we absolutely blazed them and we should have got a couple more goals. And I thought Arsenal just basically controlled the whole game in terms of the ball. I think we had similar chances. We had numerous chances because we've got better forwards. We've got more creativity going forward, so we're going to create as much chance as they are. But in terms of control of the game, especially when Slot wants to control games, and I think you got it spot on there with like managers these days. And I actually tweeted about it the other day as well, saying I think managers are ruining football these days, where it's just too tactical. Allowing this is why you saw on Man City on Saturday against Southampton, they about 80% of the ball. They literally camped in Southampton's half, and they created like one chance.
Yeah,
and it's just you're ruining players that creative players. I said on my tweet that you're ruining Foden. Foden's ruined because you're not allowing him to express himself. It's just too yeah. And I've seen it too many times this season at Liverpool as well. And it's funny speaking about this, and I don't want to speak in a negative way about Slot's tactics and things like that because it's won as a league. That is the ultimate goal. You got to win a league, but I've got to be honest about it. There's times when I've said it a few times on counter-attacks. We look like we're counter-attacking, and we end up going backwards.
Yeah.
Yesterday, that 10, 15 minutes, we didn't.
Yeah.
And we created a chance of we got goals off him because we really.
There has been numerous
full force
counter-attacks this season where we've seen them go down the other end of the pitch, and all of a sudden they just flip, and then all the passing goes back to the back four. And it's like, hang on, but there was gaps there that you can manipulate and you can use. You can get your players in, but for some reason or other, it's a very conservative style of play, and I get it. He wants. There's one excuse, or sorry, not excuse. One thing that could always be labelled on our Klopp side was that we did concede
too open,
and we were a little bit too open. Perhaps it's gone too far the other way now, and
there's a mix. Yeah.
Is finding that balance in between. I'm hoping once he's got this summer out of the way, perhaps with his own signings, that may occur further down the line. But at the moment, we're not seeing that, and it's not just the conversations we're having. It's conversations I'm having with mates back at home are saying exactly the same thing. They don't particularly like the way this style of play is evolving. We want to see a little bit more action, so to speak, and a little less being pragmatic and safe with it, and just go for it a little bit more.
Because we've got the players there to really, like you said, hurt teams. If we really went for it that for the rest of that half, we could have put the game out of sight in that first half.
Easy could have done.
We've been having over even with Klopp, and it probably even predate Klopp, to be honest. You know, we've always been renowned to have like really good attacking, like counter-attacking players. Like, I mean, Salah is probably the best counter-attacking player in the league in terms of how many counter-attacking goals he scored.
But that's what our club's built on. It is.
And there's like a couple of moments yesterday, and I'm noticing like the last couple of games, like Salah will get the ball out wide, and then he'll like the last man, and look for that pass. I mean, he is going for that assist record. We do know that. But
I thought that yesterday,
but you know what I mean? Like he'll get the ball and he'll manipulate the space, make the room for someone, and then they'll either pass it backwards or pass it back to him. And I'm like, and then it starts going backwards again. I'm like, wow, just that is the chance to shoot. That is a chance to go in and go at it. And he just sometimes I don't know.
It's scared of shooting or scared of going against the tactics.
Yeah.
But again, that's another prime one. There is the whole long shot, the long ranger. Like, so we haven't had that many. When you look at the statistics, we haven't actually had that many shots from outside the area. It's all about working that ball down the flanks in to the 18-yard box, which is great most of the time. But when you've got, I'd say probably 80% of the teams in the Premier League and teams that we face play low blocks all the time, what options are you left with? Long range shots, and they still don't do it. Now, I know Slot and that are their statistic guys, and they know the statistics aren't favorable for long range shooting. But we've got McAllister, we've got
the players for it. Szoboszlai, McAllister, Trent,
they've
Salah,
got long range goals in them, and has been proven. So why not encourage them to do that a little bit more? I don't get it. I just don't understand it. I hate trying to nitpick over his tactics because we've won the league this season.
Yeah, but we've got to talk about it because we've got to look at the future. Will we get away with that next season when we haven't got?
Maybe
we're not doing that because it's going to be a different season next season. We've seen how good Arsenal are, and I've said how good Arsenal are. And you see in our group chat, there's a couple of people that I think Arsenal are miles behind us. They're not miles behind us at all. If you watch the games, you see what happens. Yes, there's a prime example. Arsenal aren't far behind us at all. They've had some bad luck this season. I think Arteta's been very, very stubborn in a lot of games. I think he's cost them a few points himself.
Yeah.
But that points difference for me doesn't speak volumes in terms of how far we are above Arsenal. I think we are above Arsenal. We are a better team than Arsenal right now. But the transfer window coming up, I as a manager or a sporting director, I won't be going to that transfer window thinking, yeah, we're miles above Arsenal here. We don't have to do much. This transfer window is so big, we either stay above Arsenal and City in terms of having a chance next season, or we drop behind. That's how close it is for me. And we can't, and that's just based on what I'm seeing with my eyes. I'm not looking at the league table and thinking, no, that's it. We're clear Arsenal. Why are we even worried about them next season? All we do is get a couple of additions. We should be absolutely fine. And that's not how it works. That game yesterday told me, it just basically proved my point on how close Arsenal actually are to us because they actually dominate that game most of it. And that's without, they haven't really got good attackers like us. They haven't got a Salah. They haven't got a bagsman like that.
I think with like terms of with like Liverpool and Arsenal, I think Arsenal got a great defence and that back line's pretty solid. I'd say ours this season probably hasn't, which is quite weird to say. Like, Kanate and Van Dijk have been, superiors, and that's why we've got to where we've got to, because them two be obviously with other players as well. That's why we've been so good, I think, defensively in terms of that, and Alisson. Let's not forget Alisson as well. But as probably a defensive unit, player for player, in terms of the whole back four, probably Arsenal had a better one this season. Midfield, I mean, probably people will be like, what were you talking about? I think we've had a better midfield this season, and then an attack. Ours is like, streets and streets ahead of theirs. But, you are right in saying that, we are ahead, but we're not miles ahead. And it really does depend on this transfer window. If we make the right signings, bring the right players in, I said this all season, we've not played with a proper striker all season. What I mean by that is we've not had a recognised number 9 all season, and we still managed to win the league. We've obviously thankful for Salah, Diaz in stages, Gakpo had a really good run as well. Jota and Nunes this season have been not even talk about that. Mikel Merino's a makeshift centre forward, and he's scored more goals than
He's been better. He's been better, yeah.
Both of them put together, and that's just what the reality of it is. And like you say, it is a massive this summer. And I think if we bring the right players in, we will be we'll be a lot more ahead of Arsenal than we would be this season. I think with the right players, Arsenal are going to strengthen. Of course they are, but I think we're in the better position because we've just won the league, obviously, to strengthen and get even better. I think Arsenal are trying to claw it to get to where they need to get to, whereas we can exceed. You know what I mean? I feel like we can at the minute. Like, I don't know whether Arsenal, with their signings that they need to make, could go, they could go ahead of Liverpool and City. That's not a crazy thing to say, but I don't think it'd be very, very little margin in it, I think, with Arsenal. Whereas I think, we've got the chance to put a real big gap between us and Arsenal with the right signings, but it depends on that checkbook says, doesn't it? Assume we get.
It's not a blank checkbook. It has. Like blank checkbooks. We've got the complete opposite. We've got like checkbooks with limits on on each page as well. But yeah, I think it was. I won't even say it was a tale of 2 hours. I just think, like I said, the 10, 15 minutes that we really burst them at that, and we just should have taken advantage. I think that should have been prolonged a little bit more. I think we should have done the whole half like that. But again, we sat back. And my dad always tells me, like, the best line of defense is to attack. You go get more goals. You don't, it's all right defending games, but you just inviting pressure on. Stu said it earlier. They invited pressure on, and they absolutely capitalise on that. Invited pressure on, and you're going to concede at some point.
That's one of the cardinal sins of football. Never concede early on when you start the half. Never, ever do that. Otherwise, you just add in pressure. That's exactly what happened.
Regarding the whole Trent situation, we'll speak about that later. But what do you think about Klopp's substitutions as a whole yesterday? Did I say Klopp? Slots?
Yeah, I think you did.
I did. My bad. Slot substitutions.
Overall, I think they were the right subs to make. I think, obviously, I know you're going to talk about the Trent thing later on, but I think bringing him on in a trio of substitutions helped a little, but not entirely, as was evident during the game. Bringing Núñez and Jota on, like Naj says, what more can you say? The form has just plummeted out of existence. And personally, I think you could tell they actually got told quite a while ago that neither of them are going to be at the club next season. That's what it looks like to me. Both of them look like they can't be bothered. They're just there for the paycheck until the summertime, and they're going to move on. I'm convinced both of them are gone. Harvey Elliott, on the other hand, I don't think he was on long enough to show again what he's about. He only got what?
It's a shame, isn't it, really? Yeah, I'm still annoyed about Chiesa not even getting in squad.
I'm baffled at that. I really am baffled. We all know he's an incredibly talented footballer. That's the frustrating thing. We know it, but like, what on earth is going on? We don't.
I just don't understand what the difference is between if Chiesa's going in the season. Fair enough. What's the difference between him and Núñez here? Núñez has kicked up a fuss, crying about it. He's clearly off. Chiesa's better than him. So what does Núñez offer that Chiesa doesn't offer in terms of as a manager? Why is he on the bench and he's not on the bench? Why is he getting more minutes and he's not getting more minutes?
I said it weeks ago. We should be playing Chiesa up front.
Yeah.
For the last couple of months of the season, it more than likely would have got us more goals, more than anything else. He would have certainly got us more goals than Jota and Núñez. So I don't understand why he hasn't tried him in that like sort of false nine role that he's been persistent with Diaz. It doesn't make any sense.
See, Slot's reasoning behind bringing Trent on as well after the game. Slot's reasoning behind bringing Trent on was because he wanted a better chance of winning the game. He brought, a good footballer on that can change the game, which, I think I thought he played well when he came on, made some good passes, and he's going to do that. But if he's talking about footballing reasons, whatever's happened with Chiesa, surely he picked Chiesa over Núñez and Jota right now. Certainly over Núñez.
I think as well, like, it's baffling to me, this. And I've put loads of videos about Chiesa because I've always been a big fan of him. I like him. I think he's a really good player. And I remember seeing a video like a couple of months ago about him not getting the minutes, stuff like that. Like, it's probably quite a bold statement to say this, but I don't think I'm too far off what I'm saying. Right, Chiesa's that talented. He could be Liverpool's second best attacker. And that's how good he's been.
On the day, probably, yeah.
In the past. And what my point of when I said that is, we continue to play Darwin Núñez like we're talking about right now. We continue to play him. He's not bothered about playing. He doesn't care. With Jota's a weird one because Jota's obviously always been very, very good for us. And I've obviously always liked Jota. But I think this season, I don't know whether injuries have caught up with him. He looks about 2 or 3 yards off it pace. He just looks like he's just gone like that, like off a cliff. I don't know whether that's the injuries, could possibly be that, but both of them this season have got chance after chance after chance after chance after chance, and Chiesa's been happy to sit there and get 30 seconds at the end of a game. And a very big thing what about Chiesa was when we lost in the League Cup final. Chiesa come on, he'd not played in weeks, and Nunes and Jota had been played. I think did Jota start? I think. Oh no, Diaz started and Jota come on.
Yeah,
Nunes were on. All of them on the pitch. Nunes, Jota didn't do a thing. Obviously you can argue that Salah didn't really do much as well. Chiesa on the pitch, and it almost felt like instantly something changed. He wants to get a goal. He's trying to get a goal, and I just feel like why not give a chance to someone who is willing to show you what he wants to do? And like Stu was saying, he should be been playing for the last couple of weeks since we won the league, or even before that. Like this almost feels like now what I said. It is pre-season. Why just play him? Just let him play.
Yeah.
And it's just baffling.
The only two logical answers I have for that is if it's a bit like Nunes, where you got to pay money for appearances. Also, Nunes is starting. I think if you start Nunes, it's another 4.3 million to Benfica. FSG like saving money as much as they can. There's that. That's the only other logical answer I have. And the other one I have is the fact that Slot clearly didn't want him in the summer, and he sort of used him as like a proof of point. Like, I'm not going to play him. This is your signing.
Yeah.
And this is what scares me now for the summer, because are we just going to go for cheap bargains all the time?
It's never been
wanting that sort of player.
way though to spunk loads of cash.
Yeah.
Van Dijk and Alisson are the exceptions to that rule.
Nunes as well.
I'm just thinking,
Nunes.
Are we always going to go opportunistic signings? That's what I meant. Like only ones that come cheap available, rather than going for actual options. And it's quite clear that Slot hasn't liked him all season. And that's the only other logical answer I can give. If he is using him as like a proof of point, like, well, it wasn't my idea to bring him in. I mean, it's what's going to happen to players that I don't agree with.
Why bring him in? He's on 150, 60 grand a week. Like, what's the point? Like, if you're not going to play him, that's what I think. Slot must have known that he was going to come in anyway, because he obviously come in after Slot was announced as manager, which is quite wild. But I don't know. You don't really splash the cash on players, but like when we did the stream a couple weeks ago about it was about 2 weeks ago about who would be, what do we need to get now? And I kept saying like, we don't need someone who's going to be good or someone who's on the peripheral of being good. We need someone who is good, like in terms of strikers and stuff like that. Let's say Alvarez and Isak. That's why I've been speaking about him so much, and that's why I've been so against people going, oh yeah, Ekitike. No, pay players like that.
No, don't want another project.
Yeah, we don't want that, because this is what I see with Ekitike. The whole people linking him. He's going to be like £80 million, right? He comes to Liverpool. Yes, he's young. He's been at PSG, failed there. If he's failing in Ligue 1, he's not going to do well in the Premier League. That is essentially it. It's going to take him ages to get good. But, like the whole thing of Alvarez, and that's why I'm so for Alvarez. He's proven in the Premier League. He's proven in Spain. He fits Liverpool like a glove, doesn't he? I mean, I think he's actually unrealistic now. They're going to get top 4 in Newcastle. He's not going to move. So,
yeah,
who do you go for? Who's the next best? Well, it's not even second best, really. It could fit Liverpool better getting an Alvarez rather than Isak. I know Isak's probably the best striker in the world this season, but you go and get Julian Alvarez in. He's already proven the Premier League. He's already won the Premier League. He's already won everything. So why
link
not
up with McAllister as well?
McAllister link up, and that's something that makes sense to me, because he's at that age, 25. You're going to get 5 years of a player who's very, very good, not somebody who wait for 3 years to potentially come good, like we've done with Nunes. Now we don't need to do that, and that's what
I wouldn't say no to another World Cup winner.
Yeah,
having that sort of mentality around the squad is vital.
Yeah,
vital to have those sort of players around the squad, especially somebody that's won it all, like Alvarez, and he has. He's pretty. I don't think.
That's
yeah. Besides, like any of the Spanish trophies, he's pretty much won everything wherever he goes. And the fact that he is only 25, I mean, but the thing is, though, he's going to cost. He will cost a lot of money, I think.
Yeah, Nunes and swap. Nunes swapping a bit of money. I think that's something that would happen, though.
You know what? Actually, that's very realistic, because I think Nunes is a Simeone type player.
I also think it'll fit in with sort of what FSG will want to do, because the value holds a little bit better in a swap, I think.
Yeah.
if you're going to swap him, I think he fits Simeone down to a T. Like, the swap would be like, I don't know. Let's say, for example, 40 million and Nunes. That's probably about right, to be honest.
Yeah.
That'd be better for the Bucks, I think, for FSG doing that rather than us trying to drag all summer out, trying to get money for him. When realistically, we're not going to get much more than 40 million.
Just putting my FSG out on though, they get a £90 million bid from Saudi Arabia. £90 million bid from Saudi Arabia, and then promote Jadon Dance to the first team is probably their way of going about the business.
Well, yeah, I suppose only time will tell. And plus, if Nunes did go to Atletico Madrid, that's going to go one or two ways. Either he'll hit the ground running and it'll be amazing, or there'll be fisticuffs in the changing rooms within 5 minutes. So it'll be one of those two things.
I think the other week, I told Amazon to basically make sure they're getting filmed over there for that. Simeone versus Nunes would be brilliant filming. It would be popcorn. It would be the best Amazon documentary they'll have out there. I'm telling you that now. But yeah, so next two games, Brighton away and Palace. I've got Brighton on Monday night. I think we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want 6 points. I don't know about you two, but I don't want to end the season like we are doing.
Nope.
It just seems like
6 points, nothing.
It's not a sign of champions for me.
No, I agree with that. I mean, like I say, you said the holiday mode. Don't like the sound of it. I'm not gonna begrudge the players. By the way, I think they've been brilliant for us.
They deserve it.
They deserve a little bit of a rest, but like we talked about it annoys me though that the players that have been on the fringe when they played against Chelsea, they were rubbish. They were absolutely terrible. That's your audition now for next season. Are you going to stay or are you going to be getting shipped out with Nunes But they just were very, very poor last week.
Again, I'll go on to the point. I think a lot of players have been told whether they're staying or going.
Yeah,
there's a lot of body language going on there, which is like, I don't think they're sticking around, sort of thing. So I think there's going to be a lot of movement this summer, more than people expect. I
think Elliott's going to go. I really do.
I'd be gutted if that happens, though.
I like Elliott. I just think it's the physicality side of him, which is unfortunate.
I think he's always a good player to have on the bench. I mean, he can change a game.
He's brilliant. I mean, I'm all for keeping Harvey Elliott, but I just think, he's got the right mentality as well. Like, he loves the club. Like, he literally, he should have some of the certain 66 should have the same pass as what he has. But I get it with his physicality, but yeah, he's great for off the bench. He comes off the bench and he changes games for us sometimes. He comes off and he's good at that. But is it good for his career to be on the bench all the time? Which I think
probably not.
Maybe should move on. In terms of himself, I think I'd love him to stay, but I think he's 22 now, 23. He can go and play. There's no reason why he can't go and play for another Premier League club.
I think he can get England squad as well. I think he was on the verge of pushing that England squad.
Yeah,
instead of Foden dropping off as well.
Yeah. He just can't. I just don't think he can do it with us. I don't know. The utmost respect to him. Salah's the right winger. You're never going to get in there. Attacking mid. We sort of play with this running power. False nine, attacking mid, usually really fast, quick. Diaz has been played in. Just in front of Szoboszlai and stuff like that. Szoboszlai is obviously a lot more physically, better than Harvey Elliott. And in the midfield, he isn't going to get in over Granberg and McAllister because they're both miles ahead of him in terms of, again, physicality and the way they are. I mean, McAllister isn't the fastest of players. We all know that, but he's clever, isn't he? And he is an engine. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with Stu. There's going to be a lot of movement in terms of players leaving. I don't know. Well, we said we think it'll be 3 or 4 coming in. I only think it will be about 3 in. But I can see 6, possibly 7 going in the summer. Tsimikas, probably one of them. Elliott, Nunes, Jota. I can see them 4 probably being the most definite ones for going, which is quite mad.
Get the cost down, FC.
Get the cost down, FC. Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. That's exactly what it's going to be. Thank you everyone for joining us. Make sure you do smash that like button for this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and get your notification bells on. Like I said, we are live later on at 7 p.m. for Trent Talk. That is tonight's agenda. Hopefully Nigel and Stu will join us in the comments because I'm going to do it by myself, but I want everyone in the comments to make sure you get their thoughts and opinions in. But I'm going to address it properly. the Trent situation. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you all soon.